What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to present how to make successful music in this day and age. So I'm going to present you with 3 helpful methods, tips, or hacks, whatever you want to call them, to make popular successful music or a hit song. So you might be thinking, who am I? What do I know about music, right?
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Well, I for sure never made a hit record. Not yet. But however, I do like to study music, and I do like to look around and see what's happening and what people are using and what makes music successful. So by studying these trends, I get to see certain techniques that people use that make music successful. And sometimes I choose to share that with the people. So today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to present you with 3 ways, 3 methods to create successful music and to make a hit song. Now, the methods I'm going to be discussing are more technical, so if you're a producer, you probably understand what I'm talking about. But if you're a singer or anything in music, it's still very useful information, so I definitely suggest you keep watching and go through these methods and then let me know what you think about it. Alright, so we're going to start with the first method, which is sampling from other people but not really sampling. Now you might be thinking, what the hell does that mean, right? What I'm trying to say is that I've seen this happening many times before, and one great example is the song Maria by Wyclef, which a lot of us people know, especially if you're in your late 20s like me. You probably know this song, you probably love this song. So how did Wyclef came up with this melody, this bass line that was so catchy? Well, in an interview, I think it was an interview with Drink Champs on the podcast, he talked about actually listening to a lot of hip-hop, 90s hip-hop, and he listened to a song by Wu-Tang, which is called Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With. And what he did is he took the same notes and he created.
I was like, what if I could take this RZA scheme? Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Played by Carlos Santana.
So what I'm trying to say is that you can take notes from certain songs and rearrange them and create something different, but still use those notes. So actually what you're doing is sampling, but you're not really sampling the exact same thing. You only take a set of notes that's already been used in that song and you arrange it differently. And I've seen this happening many times before. I'll also drop a link in the description box below so you can see what I'm talking about, and you can see the interview with Wyclef where he's actually explaining how he came up with it. Now, this is a very useful method to create something, especially if you're a beginner, you're not really sure what you're doing. You just started out making music and you don't really know how to come up with a nice melody. What you can do is take a melody line and arrange it differently. And also what I've been seeing a lot of times, especially in the country where I live, is they take a lot of melody lines from other songs and like sing the same melody line over their song. So that's another way of sampling. Instead of recreating the actual song, all they do is take the melody line from a certain singer or a rapper or whatever it is, and they put it over their song. And this makes the song more recognizable because a lot of people already know this melody line from the song they sample it from. So again, this is a more technical method, so if you're a producer, you probably might already use this method, or you might have been experimenting with this method, but it's a very useful method, and I suggest that you definitely try this more often, especially if you're kind of stuck with music and you haven't been making any nice tracks recently. So number 2 is something that's been happening a lot in music recently, especially popular commercial music, and this is where people take a song from, for example, the 90s, and they recreate it. And the good thing about this is, you might be thinking, this has been happening for a long time, right? But there's a certain change that I've noticed, because before, especially in hip-hop music, they used to take samples from records that nobody's ever really heard of. Usually they would sample from pretty much anything as long as it sounded good. But recently, people have been sampling from R&B music in the early 90s or late 90s that nowadays generation doesn't really know about. So the good thing about this is you can take a song from the early 90s or from the early 2000s, right? and you can recreate this song. And the generation that's listening to music right now won't even know that song. So they might think you created a whole different song. For example, we can take the song I just talked about, the Maria song, which DJ Khaled took and made into Wild Thoughts, right? A lot of young people thought that the Wild Thoughts song was an original song, but they don't know that he took that from the Maria song. So that's one example. Another sample is the Drake song, in which he sampled Lauryn Hill's X Factor. Like, a lot of young people don't even know that song, so they listen to it and they think it's a dope song, but they don't even know that it's sampled from Lauryn Hill's song. And the older people will immediately listen to it and know that it's a Lauryn Hill sample. But you can take advantage of this and create a hit song, because a lot of people don't know that sample and they might think it's hot. So this is a very good way to create a successful song, or to sample from a successful song in the past and re-release it in your way. So this is a very useful method. I've been seeing it a lot of times, especially recently. I can go on and on about this, but if you understand what I'm saying, this is definitely something you should try and implement into your production. So number 3, the third method, this is very important, especially if you're just starting out in music and you haven't really found your own style. I would suggest that you create your own sound. And what does that mean exactly? If you look at every successful producer, artist, whatever, in music, what do they all have in common? They all have their own sound or their own style, which makes them unique and which makes them stand out from the rest. And a lot of people are just trying to copy other artists, or you see a lot of producers making type beats, right? You probably heard this term before, type beats. But this is you're copying someone else's style, and in that way you might create a little bit of success, but you'll never be successful being you, because you're copying someone else, you know. And the followers you might get only gonna listen to you because you sound like that other person. So this is one thing you should never do. Always try and create your own sound. If you listen to Timbaland's music, for example, you can just tell that he made the track. He made a certain track. When you listen to it, you can hear that it's him. Same with a DJ Premier or a Dr. Dre, and the list goes on and on. You can hear that it's their music, it's their sound. So it's very important that you find your own sound and be unique, and in that way you can stand out. So first you gotta find a way to do this. Like, it could be the way you set up your drums, it could be the elements that you use in music, the type of instruments you use. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter as long as it makes you sound like you. And then when you find this sound, you must implement this and keep using it over and over until it becomes recognizable. And when it becomes recognizable, that's when you start to stand out from the rest. People are starting to notice the sound and they can tell that it's you. And now you've got something that nobody has, and that's being you, being unique, and having your own sound. Now this might sound a little stupid because you just talked about sampling from other people or recreating music by using other people's melodies, right? So this might be, you might be thinking, isn't this the same as, like, you know, recreating a sound? Well, that is true. That is kind of true, but still, even if you're using samples, or even if you're using a melody line from somebody else, you can still make it your own. You can still make it sound like you did it. So what I'm trying to say is that even if you're sampling from somebody else, or if you're taking somebody else's melody line, make sure that you do it in your way. So don't do it the exact same way. Do it a little bit differently. Even if you're sampling, try to do it and sound like you still. So that's really important. Whatever you do, you always gotta make sure that you give your own twist to it. You know, and you can look up like a lot of covers by singers from other singers. You know, even though they sing somebody else's song, they still do it in their way. You know, for example, a Luther Vandross is somebody who really has his own style, and even when he sings other people's songs, you can still you know, he makes it his own. So that's what you should do as a producer. It's the exact same thing. Take another song, sample it, do whatever you want, but still give your own twist, leave your own stamp on it. All right. So those were my 3 methods to make successful music and to make yourself stand out from the rest. I hope you liked this video. If you found this information useful, hit that subscribe button on my channel. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about these tips. And also let me know what type of methods you use to create successful music. All right. That was my video for you guys. I hope you liked it. I'll be back next week with another video. Follow me on social media, on Instagram, of course. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, and I will be back next week with another video. Thank you for watching, guys. Peace.